I think All Stars 8, and I'm going to say this now, which is the messy season. But at the time, I was in my transition. And at that time, I felt like, well, the stigma was that they didn't allow trans girls to compete on the show. That whole weekend, basically, I had to like let my facial hair grow. I had to dress as a boy. And there was one particular person I cast, and the producer side that I don't care nothing for. And I hope she sees this. I don't care nothing for her.
Was if you could talk about Josh Seiter, your ex.
Because guess what? Josh is a messy little. He had somebody else help him find me. The blogger that helped him basically felt sorry and apologized to me and sent me all a text message of them two conversating about me. Yes, I've been holding on to this for a year. And what he says in these messages are so disgusting.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, and drama. Today, I have with me a fabulous queen who first graced our screens on season 5 of RuPaul's Drag Race and then came back later when she competed on All Stars 8. I'm super excited for you all to get to know her better and learn more about her amazing journey in drag. We'll, of course, be talking all things Drag Race, and I'll be asking some of the amazing questions you all sent in. So please join me in welcoming a queen who not a soul can clock, the stunning Monica Beverly Hillz.
Hi.
Hi, lovely to see you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to finally sit down and talk to you.
Thank you for being here. No, I'm very excited. I know my audience was very excited. Like, you're such an icon of Drag Race, and especially recently after All Stars 8, I think so many people were really excited for me to speak to you.
Oh, thank you.
You're looking stunning, by the way, and I'm loving the vibe of, like, you've got that little chest of drawers behind you. It's looking very kind of it's a vibe.
Totally. This is where I get ready. This is my makeup room. This is where I get ready. This is all the drag is at and everything is, stuck in a closet.
It's the important room.
The important room, yes. The business room.
Yes, that's a good way of thinking about it. Well, so thank you so much for being here. I know my audience was, like, very, as I said, very excited for me to speak to you. And I think because you've been on 2 seasons now, which, we'll get onto in a minute, but people were very excited to hear from you. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about you, your drag, your time on the show. And then we've also got some subscriber questions to ask you later. So yeah, I was like, let's just have a little kiki and learn a bit more about Monica.
Yes.
So, first of all, I would love to start off by finding out, how did you get started in drag, and where does the drag name Monica Beverly Hillz come from?
Since we're being honest, I kind of fell into drag on accident. I was about 17 and I was, first transitioning, coming out. I was a sex worker. So I used to walk around the streets and predominantly in the gay area. So, there's a bunch of clubs all around. So I would dip in and out, when you want to take a rest and, hang out with your girlfriends and stuff like that. And I was just dancing in a club, just living my best life. And a promoter came up to me and he was like, have you ever done drag before? And I was like, wait. I'm a little confused about what a drag is because I just, I always thought I was a girl. So for me, it was just, I didn't really understand it at first. So he's like, come Friday to this club and we'll pay you to do one number. I was like, okay, that's easy. I have a background in dancing since the age of 7 to 14. So I was, pretty much used to all that. So I went, I performed, and it's true what they say. Your first time in drag, especially if it's good drag, you know, people love it. They fall in love, and it's just like a high. It's a high you can't explain. So ever since that, I've been stuck. I was stuck going to with that one promoter. He had like several, like three clubs he did. And I was at every club and on the flyers and the face of all his parties he would have. And that's how I got my start.
Wow, okay. That's a very interesting way to get into drag. So what you said, you were doing sex work and then you went in and you were doing drag, like, because someone suggested it, basically. So
Yes.
did you at the time, was Monica your name that you were going by anyway, because you were saying you were already transitioning at that time, or was that something that came later as a drag name?
Yeah, I had two names. Diamond was the first one. And then Monica, of course. But the more that I started to do show, I used the Monica one. But it wasn't until one of my good trans sisters named Lila Starr. She's the one who was actually, we came up with the last name Beverly. And it was her idea to make sure that we have two first names, to get the people wondering of like, why does this person have two first names? So that's how Monica Beverly Hills Monica Beverly came about. Because it wasn't until like years later down the line that I added the Hills onto there.
Was the Hills for a specific reason, or is that just because it was like the Beverly Hills bit?
Yeah, because I had quit drag for a certain part and I moved to Indiana. I moved to Kentucky. And I was in the middle of nowhere, like literally in the middle of nowhere. I was a freelance makeup artist for Estee Lauder. And there was no gay bars. All of a sudden one opened and I started working at it. So therefore I was like, I'm just gonna give myself a new name. Everybody knows Monica Beverly, but they really don't know Monica Beverly Hills. So then I added on the Hills, but I changed the Z to a S, to have some spunk and pizzazz like me. And so, just to get people thinking. So that's how that came about.
Yes, because obviously it's Hills like with a Z or Z in America rather than
Yeah.
S. Yes. No, it's
Yeah.
actually a great name, and I think it trips off the tongue really easily and sort of really nicely and everything. So, when did you then? How long was it between that and then Drag Race? And did you audition straight away for Drag Race, or how long was the period between when you first did drag and then doing Drag Race?
Okay. Just about oh my God. I left out of Chicago in my 20s, my early 20s. I was, I got caught up with the wrong people. I was in and out of rehabs and doing drugs. I had a really bad past. So I ended up going to Kentucky to get myself together, where my biological mother lives and my brothers and my sisters over there. So it wasn't until I can say a year or two is when Drag Race. No, it was a year. It was a year. I was only there for 1 year, and the show Drag Race came out. And one of my good best friends, good Judy, I call him my Andy Warhol, my photographer Nestor, he was like, "Oh my God, you have to do the show." And I was like, "What is it?" And I was just like, "Well, I'm in Kentucky, like, and it's about boats and all that. I'm not in Chicago. I don't know what I'm able to do." So I ended up um, texting my sister Jay Sotomayor from season 1, and I let her know that this was going on. Well, she had knew about it or something or whatever it was. But yeah, so the first season, I was up there on the voting thing, but I really didn't take it serious because I was in Kentucky. I didn't know if I really wanted to do it. So years. I was there for like 3 or 4 years, and then I'm moving back to Chicago. Well, I actually was in Kentucky, about to move out of Kentucky back to Chicago, and that was for season 5. And at that time, they reached out to us and said that we think you should audition for so and so and so. And I'm like, they're just probably trying to get girls. Like I don't even want to do that. So I ended up moving back to I went for the weekend actually. Sorry, I'm freaking out. I went for the weekend to Chicago, literally to shoot the audition tape because they wanted me to give an audition tape. So I was just like, how am I going to do this? I have no camera crew here. I'm in the middle of nowhere in Kentucky. Like, I don't even have a studio I can go to. So I ended up getting a ticket and we went for the weekend to Chicago. Now, mind you, this video was due on Monday morning. I got there like Friday morning. Friday morning. We had to shoot all these looks. We had to do these skits. It was so much work. But at the time, I was in my transition. And at that time, I felt like, well, the stigma was that they didn't allow trans girls to compete on the show. And I was just like, how am I going to do this? Like, this is going to be too much because at that time they wanted a boy picture out of drag and then in drag. I have none of that. Like all my pictures are me literally as a girl. So I was just like, I don't know what to do. So that whole weekend, basically, I had to like let my facial hair grow. I had to dress as a boy to take these photos, to give them, and to do the audition tape with. So that in itself was a lot. And then having to do, at that time, you had to come up with 3 snatching characters and stuff like that. Mind you, we shot all this, and I had to perform in a nightclub, and then come back to Kentucky. As I'm coming back to Kentucky, because we already sent the video, I get a phone call like right away that Monday on the plane going back home. I was like, what? From LA. So I was just like, oh, they're like, we loved your video. Um, they asked for more content, if I'm not mistaken, it was. And I think it was more stuff with me as male presenting. So I was just like, okay, so we sent them because we took a whole bunch of stuff. We sent them everything they needed. And it happened literally pretty fast. Like as soon as I got home, because they mess with you a couple of days, like come and check on you and tell you stuff and whatever, whatever. Next thing you know, they were like, we need you to go see a therapist. And I was like, I'm not understanding why I go see a therapist if I don't even know I'm on the show. So sure enough, I went to go see the therapist, and it was like, I think it was like the following week on a Monday again, is where I fell asleep. I was living in a deep sleep, and I wake up and I have like three missed calls from LA. So I'm like, what's going on? They're like, we need you to get on Skype so we can let you know what's going on. So I already felt it. I'm like, oh my God, I have a feeling that they're having me go on Skype so they can take my reaction. So me and the guy that I used to, one of my past friends that I lived with, we were just freaking out because we're like, he's like, call back, call back. I'm like, I don't want to call back. I'm nervous. Like, call my photographer. I'm like, what I do is like, call them back right now. So sure enough, I got on a laptop and they were like, well, at first they were like, we're sorry to inform you. And I'm like, oh God. And they're like, but you made it on season 5. And I was like, I was stuck there for a moment because I'm like, oh, this is really real. And then I started crying. Of course, you get that reaction. And then I was whisked away literally. Well, my photographer and my designer came 2 weeks later. I think it was a week or 2 weeks later. It happened really fast. Season 5, it was like you found out you were there, and then by the next weekend, you literally were in LA. That's how fast it was. All Stars 8 was a little bit different for me. But yeah, we got there, and it was a hassle to get there because I had no money. I had no drag. Like I had drag. I worked at a little bar that was like at least 50 people. So it was just like, I didn't have much. But my designer and my photographer, they made all my stuff from scratch. They sponsored all my stuff. So I was able just to go there and just compete. But as soon as I got there, it was just, it was fun for a while, don't get me wrong. But it started to get a little chaotic. It wasn't my first time on camera doing a reality gig because I did a couple here in Chicago. But it was my first time going away and being stuck with people for weeks. And, that for me was very, very, very new.
Wow. Okay. Well, there's a lot to unpack. That's a very kind of, lots of stuff happening in the story and everything. So just to pick up on some of the things you said, because they were really interesting. So obviously, I think we know obviously, especially back in like the earlier seasons, they were very kind of not as progressive as they are now, and it was not very nice in terms of the saying that trans people couldn't compete and everything. So you said about having to grow your facial hair, and they were very much wanting like boy pictures of you, which I can imagine as a trans person must be like awful. Was that something that you felt like they told you had to do that, or was that just something that you felt they wanted?
No, but they have specifics in the contract. And it was what they stated what they wanted was out of drag, like boy, in your boy persona or whatever. For me, no matter what, with or without, I look very feminine. I look very, I've always got that since I was little. So we were just coming up ways to like make me look more masculine. I think that was more me than anything. It wasn't really them telling me like I had to have facial hair and stuff like that. No. But for me, it's like, that's the only way I felt like I could present masculine. But at that time, also, too, I wasn't on hormones. I was off of hormones, So it was more like, okay, still growing facial hair, and I still have like these like these stuff that won't go away. So I might as well just let it. And plus, for me, also, too, it was I've never seen myself like that. So I was thinking maybe I can just give myself the opportunity to let it all go and just to see if I know this is what I really want. Because at that time, yeah, I was trans, but I was going back and forth with it. It was just like, I don't want to just be trans and then have my family not speak to me and people not speak to me and treat me a certain way. Because back in the day, trans individuals were treated very differently. even by their own community. We were treated very, very differently. So for me, it was always like, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And yeah, I remember going on Drag Race and the first time walking through the doors, loved everybody, but the moment we took our makeup off, it just for me, it just like came a lot came over me because I'm like, people don't ever see me like this. They always see like the glitz, the glam, the crazy Monica, beautiful. But like now I'm like, oh my God, I got facial hair. Like I have no long hair on, no makeup. Like the world's gonna see me like this. At first I'm like, fine, whatever. But getting there and being surrounded by, I would say at the time, predominantly gay men that are confident with themselves and, are used to being like that. I wasn't. I was very like, I felt like my look was everything I had. I worked so hard for the way I look, and then going on the show, it was just like, I'm so vulnerable. I never been this vulnerable in my life. I've always been strong and I've always had the guard up and able to protect myself. And now I'm just here in the hands of other people and God knows what's gonna happen. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not trans myself, but I can only imagine what that must feel like. And I think on season five, I think we'll get onto it in a second, but on season five, I thought you came across very sweet and really nice, but you could tell there was something going on and like you were in your head, and you could tell that you didn't feel as comfortable as you could have been compared to other people. And I think unfortunately that, you could see that was affecting you, which I always felt really bad for you about that. So, but moving on to like, we'll talk about that in a second. But in terms of season five, so you get onto the season and you were very excited. You said and you got the call and everything. So when you actually walked through those doors and you saw season five, all the cast together, because it was an incredible cast. It was one of the best seasons there's ever been. What did it feel
mhm.
like being in a room with all of those people? Like, did you know any of them from before, or was it completely new?
For me, the only one that I knew of and I was a huge fan of was Roxy. Roxy Andrews. I mean, who doesn't know Roxy? She's legendary and her mother's legendary. The House of Andrews is legendary. So I was just like starstruck. But the 2 weeks prior, like 2 or 3 weeks prior, my friends introduced music videos or videos or something of Detox because they met her in LA because they went to LA weeks prior to that. They met Detox. So I was like, oh my gosh, she's sickening. She's beautiful. Like I love her. I love her. I can tell like we're gonna vibe off really, really good if I was ever to meet her. So when I had walked in, I was like, oh, wait, my friends were just talking about you a couple of weeks ago. So basically, the only ones I really too knew of was Roxy and Detox.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, they were very well known, and still are to this day, but they were even well known back then. Like they, very very well known and everything. Was it quite intimidating then, as going in with all of these, with especially with a couple of like really well known queens?
Actually, season five, no. To be honest, when we all walked in, I think because I hate to say it, our drag was a little bit like, it was a little at that time. Not like now everybody goes really, really in for the entrance. At that time, it was just like, and it was really weird too. They told us to bring bags for season five, like carry a purse or something. So we all had like bags coming in. It was just really weird. But no, when I came in season five, like I was truly excited, truly, truly excited to see the girls because I didn't really know any of them. But, of course I was a little bit intimidated by like the front runners that I thought, that to me where everything was Roxy and Detox. So I was like, oh, they're gonna be the problem, because they're the main head honchos, here. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
can I can totally see that. And in terms of then your run on season five, but we'll talk about that before we sort of move on a little bit. So you obviously you were there until episode three. You were
Mhm.
safe in the first week, which is the design challenge, and then there was the lip sync to the untucked stuff. That was that one. And then there was also the acting challenge. That's the acting challenge where you had to do like the children's like TV skits or whatever as well. Like those were
Yes,
the
yes,
three.
yes, yes, yes.
So of those three episodes, does one stick out for you as being like a really memorable thing that happened?
Oh yeah, of course. Episode two, when I came out.
Monica, tell me, what's on your mind?
It's true what you're saying. There is a lot going through my head. I feel I'm not here. I'm not just a drag queen. I'm a transgendered woman.
Not even that. Episode two, to be honest, there was a lot going on. From Tuck to the girls to the runways. It was just, I think at that time we all felt like, okay, now the pressure's on. Like we're really in a competition here. Like people are gonna be going home, whatever, whatever. But I mean episode two, like season two. Episode two for me to this day, not just for the breakdown, yes, is memorable. I mean, I watch it now and I can watch it without crying and going through it, my internal feelings. But no, I think even watching Untucked, I'm like, there was so much going on in episode two, like a lot going on. So for me, it's yeah. I think by episode three, to be honest, I was kind of over it. I was just like, it's just too much for me at one time. And then, there's so many personalities because season five, we had a lot of personalities, to be honest. I would say to this day, it's one of the best ones because there's so much talent in one season, and not even that, so much personalities in one season. I mean, Jesus, there was an argument all the time. It was like good TV. There's so much of us. There were so many of us with some big personalities. So
Yeah, season five was a great season. Like you said, there were so many amazing like fights in Untucked, big personalities. Like it's one of my top. It's probably my second favorite season of all time. Like 6 and 5.
Season four is one of my favorites. Besides
four
my
is
own,
also
season four. Yes.
4, 5, and 6 are like the golden three for me. They're like incredible. I can't.
That's when they started getting more money and the budget started getting bigger.
And the queens also, I feel like it was that time between the queens were still, because social media wasn't quite as big, the queens weren't as like worried about how they're going to come across on camera, so they were being a little bit more authentic maybe, and like they would have more fight, whereas nowadays the queens understandably are a bit more cautious, whereas I think 4, 5, and 6 had really strong casts and they had money, plus the queens were kind of not afraid to have fights and stuff, so it just made very memorable TV. You mentioned obviously one of your, I think the defining moments of your time on season 5 was episode 2 when you came out as trans on the main stage, and you were actually the first queen ever to come out on the main stage during the show, because obviously there had been Kylie Sonique Love on season 2, but that was at the reunion. You were the first queen to do it actually on the main stage. I was just wondering.
But now that I have the moment, I'm going to say this: she was the first queen. Okay.
She was.
I was the first queen on the main stage. Okay, that's it. So we could stop having that discussion already.
She was.
Twitter is too much with that.
Kylie is the first trans queen on like period.
Yes.
You're the first queen to come out on the main stage. Like
Yes.
That's the distinction. Very, very clear.
Yes.
Kylie is also amazing. I love Kylie.
Oh, she's beautiful.
She's gorgeous, stunning. But in terms of you, that episode, I was wondering if you could talk us through that happening, because I think we could all tell there was something going on, and then you broke down. It was such an emotional, powerful moment. I was just wondering if you could sort of tell us a little bit about what had led up to that moment and what was it like actually breaking down on stage.
Well, it was a lot, to be honest. I was already feeling like, like I wasn't being myself. I felt like everybody around me was really enjoying themselves because they got to be themselves, and every time I would like the acting challenge, it was just my mind couldn't, I guess, like comprehend the stuff that was going on because I already had so much stuff inside there that was, fighting my own demons. So for me, it was just like, I already knew I did bad going into it when we were about to line up. So my biggest thing was, do I quit now and just go home? Or I just wait this out and just see what happens? Because I was over it. Like season 2, I couldn't even put my outfit together to like even tell the story about it. I was just like so in my head that I questioned everything. And it wasn't for people like, if it wasn't for people like Roxy and Detox and Coco Montrese that really knew what was going on with me, and really felt it, really had my back, it was just hard. And then hearing the same critiques from not only judges, but from producers and from classmates and, why are you so quiet? What's going on? You can only be like, oh, nothing, so many nothings in one time, So we're all lined up and they're going one by one by one by one. And then when I heard my critiques, I was just, I was over it. But then at the same time, I felt like, oh, I just ruined my whole chances of being here. Just because I can't open up the way they need me to open up. But I also felt like they knew something was going on, So I felt like all the buttons they were pressing was to make sure that not only have that moment, but to like get out what's bothering you, because where everybody can tell something's bothering you. So, and sure enough, when it happened, now I can watch it, but I don't even remember it. Like, I just remember like shaking a lot and just let it all out. So when I watched it back, and I was like, "Ooh, I really was going through it." For me to be like that and just break down in front of people I really don't know was a lot for me. But yeah, I don't know. At that time, to be honest, like going home, I felt a little bit like, I don't know, taken advantage of. And I hate to say that because it wasn't that. But at that time, being in a position I was, and I just felt very taken advantage of. It was like, oh, we got your moment, you're done, you can go home now. And it was a great moment at that. To this day, it's still history. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thankful for it now. But at that time, yeah, I think I felt a little bit like taken advantage of. And but at the same time, it's a reality show. It's like you kind of sign up for these things. You kind of sign up for the unexpected. So yeah. Oh, and they bring my mom on the show too. I forgot about that. In the Untucked. That episode
Oh,
2.
yes. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes. It just hit me. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
When
was
they
a
bring the
lot.
TV in, you get the message. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So for me already, when I had saw that in Untucked, because I wasn't really vocal about that with my mother. Because for me, that was a lot of shame that I held throughout my childhood. So I've always kept that very close to me. So I was grateful for that. But then to have that, and then to have what happened in Untucked, and then to be on the runway, and everybody just firing shots at me, and then the breakdown, it was just like I was emotionally exhausted. That even in episode 3, it was just like I don't have nothing to give you anymore. Like I'm beyond exhausted. Like I don't have anything more. I need a couple of days to be in my room by myself. But you can't. The next day you're literally back up like if nothing happened, ready to shoot episode 3. So
Drag Race is a whirlwind, and I can only imagine how stressful that must be. So, just going back to obviously, I think the moment you had in the breakdown was so powerful. I think obviously it was one of the first times we'd seen that on Drag Race. Obviously, Kylie was before that at the reunion, but on the main stage, it has a slightly different dynamic in a way, and I think I'm sure there were lots of people who felt how brave you were, and I'm sure a lot of people at home, although it was a very sad moment, maybe we saw you coming into your own. And I'm sure a lot of people at home can appreciate that, and I'm sure you've been like a trailblazer for a lot of other trans people. So I hope you look back on it, although it was not a great moment for you, I'm sure for other people it was actually a really powerful, important moment. Did the other people in the cast know about it? Because some of them kind of looked quite shocked, but were they doing that for camera, or you already had discussions with everyone about that?
no, no, there was no discussion about that, except for like discussion of, oh girl, you're very, how us girls can keep like, oh my God, you're a fish, you're this, you're that. Oh my God, I live for you. It was very that, but no, it was not me telling anybody about that. I think the only one who kind of probably um knew, because that was like my bestie, was Coco, because yeah. We have her mother is like my godmother, Mocha Montrese. So we had that in common. So it was nothing directly that I said to her, but I mean Coco's not dumb neither. So it's just like, okay,
Yeah, and I
so.
think it was such a powerful moment, but it also was I think it was obvious to a lot of people there was something going on. So it kind of was like I can now see, and it totally makes sense. What I was curious about though is obviously back in season 5, this was obviously, like I said, when the show was not quite as progressive as they are about trans people competing and everything, and there were some things said by RuPaul that were not very nice. But did you feel a pressure to like not come out as trans and like not be like tell them from the start? Was that why do you think that's what then led to you having that emotional breakdown on stage? And were you worried about what the repercussions of that might be?
I didn't feel forced. I can tell you that much. I didn't feel forced, but I also felt like They were, I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, they knew something because obviously with the whole everything is on Monica, from bringing my mother on the show, from the arguments and Untucked and stuff like that. For me, I'm like, they know there was more going on. I think they just didn't know, but they were ready for me to, whatever it is, say it. You know, it's just like they say in reality TV, you don't have those moments. You don't know when you have those moments that you can be open and, so you have to take every moment like it's your last. So I just felt like, yeah, I wasn't pressured, but of course they knew something was going on and they were ready for me to like get it out the way so I can be my best self.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think it was such a powerful moment, and it was obviously very sad to see you be like that. But at the same time, I could see that it maybe was like a weight taken off your shoulders, and
Yes.
I can only imagine what that must feel like to have that. And unfortunately, you were only there one more episode, but I think you still had such a great run on season 5, and you were a trailblazer, like the first queen to come out on the main stage, not in general, but on the main stage itself. So I think you should be very proud of your legacy from season 5 just for that, because I think you really helped to open the doors to other people to then be openly, which is what the show should have been anyway. But I think you really
Yeah.
helped do that. So I hope you're very sort of like proud of that, because you should be, because that was an incredible brave
Oh,
thing that you did.
yeah. Now, to be honest, turning 40 next month, that was in my 20s. Okay. That was in my early 20s. And now I look at it, I'm like, I am very proud of myself. And I'm proud of the show and how far they come. Because to see trans contestants and non-binary and gender non-confirming, it's beautiful. People being their authentic self, doing what they love to do, and the art of drag. And it should be that simple, but it wasn't. But I'm thankful that we had people like myself, like Carmen, like Sonique, that were, visibly putting themselves, Peppermint, Gia, all of us continuing that story to keep putting out the trans visibility. So, yeah, I'm proud of myself now. At that time, no, I was like, oh my God. But now I love it. I love when people come up to me, especially the young kids now. I'm like, oh my God, I watched you on season 5. I'm like, oh, thank you for the love and support.
It was such a powerful moment, and I think there's a reason why it's gone down in drag history, because you were the first queen to have done that specific thing. So it was a very great moment, although it was obviously probably not great for you in the moment. I'm glad that it was like something lifted off your shoulders. I'm sure it probably helped you. You said you were maybe undecided about transitioning. Was that something that then made you the decision of like, yes, I'm definitely doing it?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, being in Chicago, being a month, I was raised around beautiful trans women, that were independent and, out there at that time, I was just very in and out of it. I was more to like at that time too, also, I discovered drag, and that was my new passion. I didn't really have to rely on sex work that much to survive. My drag was basically that.
Also, you mentioned earlier that you're turning 40 soon. Like, you do not look it at all. Like, you look like you could still be in your 20s. Like, you do not look it
And
at
I don't do
all.
Botox and I don't do fillers. It's all natural.
That's even more impressive.
Thank you,
Wow.
thank you,
No, I
thank
mean, you don't
you.
you don't look it at all. You look amazing, but you do not look your at all. So
I've always gotten that. I've always gotten that. They're like, oh my God, you look so much younger. I'm like, it runs in my family. My mom still looks so young. So
So going back to season 5, you kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier. There were quite a few questions that about Untucked on episode 2 when everyone was against Serena Cha Cha. I mean, that's like one of the
uh-huh.
most. I was wondering if I could ask you about that, because quite a few
Oh
people,
yes, yes.
well, a lot of people were really, because you were actually quite a big part of that sort of argument and sort of being so. I mean, I guess most people probably know this already, but Serena was kind of maybe running her mouth a little bit, and she started
A little
saying
bit.
a little, and she was basically being a little bit obnoxious. And she, at one point, she had an argument with pretty much everyone, but she then specifically made a comment and said that you and a few other people were talking ghetto, to use her words, and you obviously very clapped back at that, and everyone kind of replied. Can you talk a bit about what actually happened and how did that make you feel?
I'm sorry, at this point, the ghetto lexic and language is gone.
Yo, you're saying a lot of but you know what you're saying. Don't play dumb, girl. Don't play dumb. Ooh. I was ready to pick up that table and bash her over the head with it. She's lucky I signed the contract.
Well, that happened right after my mom called. So we're all like crying, we're all having a moment, and then here comes Serena. Like always, when the camera's in front of her, she's got to fit that spotlight, and I don't remember what triggered it. But I remember all I remember was when Roxy said, when she was telling me, "You're just like us, except for Serena."
We're all in the same caliber.
Except for Serena.
I literally was crying right when Roxy was talking to me, and then when she said that, I just like literally, it was like the best moment for her to say that because we were all feeling the same exact thing about Serena. We were already over her, and at that time she was just 21, so she was a little bit full. Well, she was not a little bit. She was a lot full of herself. Let's just say that. And she was beyond confident. Let's just say that.
No, and it was an iconic moment. Like, it was so funny, and obviously it was a good point that you were making of like, don't call someone ghetto, and like that's obviously really, horrible thing to say. One of the parts of it that I think a lot of people were asking about this in the questions for you, because obviously you clapped back at her, which was great. You really like showed, made it clear what to say, but also your laugh, which you did a second ago. I don't know if they looped it, and this was one of the questions, but if you listen back to it, your laugh, it sounds the same. Like every time they come, it's like the same laugh over and over again. I'm not sure, did they loop it, or do you think you were really laughing that much?
Guys.
Oh, I was laughing because it was good. They probably did, but no, it was that Untucked. I watch it now, and don't get me wrong, I laugh because it was really funny, but I do feel like, ugh, we look a little bit just gaining up on Serena. Not saying she didn't deserve it, but it's great TV. It was great TV. It was a moment. Definitely people go back to a lot. So.
Oh, it's one of the best Untucked in history. Like, it's what, if I have to think of Untucked, it's one of them.
I think that's when Untucked was actually good. Not to say it's not really good anymore.
You could say it. You could say it's kind of true. It's true.
Yeah, in All Stars 8, there was a lot of stuff about All Stars 8 I didn't really care for, to be honest. But Untucked, it was just more like, I don't know. Untucked in season 5 was more like our let down, let your hair down. Yeah, cameras are there, but you really are being yourself. Girls are drinking, having a cocktail, just truly letting their stuff out. So it was a good moment, but yeah.
Because I think the thing with that particular episode was, I think you can look at it both ways. Serena was deserved. Like, she wasn't being very nice, and she did say a few things that needed to be sorted. But I think when you look at it, maybe she was young, and like it did. I think it depends how you look at it. But some people thought that she was ganged up on. But at the same time,
I've seen some comments about that, like how you guys are gaining up on her. I'm like, you really weren't. But the camera only shows you so much. But yes, I'll take it.
I think there's truth on both sides, and like she shouldn't have said it. Like, what is your relationship like with Serena now?
To be honest, afterwards we torched, and this is the thing people don't realize. We were actually forming a relationship, trying to at least, because I would talk to her. I would even use like some of her MAC products because I guess she had everything from MAC, but it just came to a point where she was just being just too much. But I haven't seen Serena or heard from Serena in like, I can honestly say 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Okay.
The last time I heard of Serena was when she was actually on All Stars.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, oh, she's out there. Well, I mean, I don't see her, but I hear a lot about her. So I'm gonna keep it at that.
Yeah.
And read a lot about her too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot said about it, and people can like do their own research on that. But
yeah.
But after season 5, like after that moment, obviously in the moment you probably were not very happy with Serena and everything, and then she was eliminated that episode. After season 5, did you kind of patch things up together, or was it very much like you just didn't really get on? And
no, we did. We actually were in Florida. We did a gig together, and we actually stood with each other. So like we were in the same hotel. We're good. Yeah, for me, don't get me wrong, when we first come around each other, we see each other, yeah, there's like, eh. But after a while, that goes away because you realize, like, you know what? We both went through this experience together. We may not have that long on the camera, but let's see what we could, you really see what people are besides the camera. And she really is a cool person, when she's not being an extra. Which I think she likes to be extra, don't get me wrong.
It is a TV show at the end of the day, and obviously everyone puts on a show and everyone's a bit different. The camera only shows the bits they want to because it makes good TV, but I'm sure she's not that obnoxious all the time on, like, probably not. It was an iconic moment though, and it very much was one of your defining moments. So I'm sure in a way it's kind of like a funny memory looking back at it now that you gave iconic TV.
Totally.
So obviously, yeah. So unfortunately, you then were eliminated the next episode, and I think it was obviously you kind of needed to work on yourself, and you were kind of not, quite ready. But I'm glad that you had that time on season 5. You then obviously came back for All Stars 8 quite a few years later.
10 years later, to be exact.
10 years, which is insane. One thing that I thought was really interesting was I remember that there was a period of time where some people felt like maybe you were quitting drag and were more kind of not seeing yourself as a drag queen because of your transitioning. And I remember I actually mentioned you in a video once, not in a bad way, about queens who are potentially quitting drag because you had posted some stuff saying that you didn't necessarily see yourself as a drag queen or a performer in that sort of sense because of your transition. And you had mentioned a few things about, like, critical things about RuPaul and some of the comments that he had made about trans queens on the show. So I always got the impression that you were not going to come back to the show. So I was just wondering what was there a change of mindset?
That's a good question. Because to be honest, I thought the same exact thing because there was few queens on Drag Race that spoke out against RuPaul in her comments. I was one of them. Carmen Carrell was another one. A couple of the other ones too, but then they backpedal like they always do. Like I say, no names. But they still want to be booked on the show. Anyway, I'm starting being shady. Yeah, no, when I got the email, I was like, what? Because I did quit drag. I quit drag, to be honest, 2020 during COVID. And I did it publicly. And then I did it again. I started doing it for like private parties. I wasn't doing it like locally and doing it for whatever. So when they had called me, I was like, do they realize that I don't do drag anymore? But then I'm like, oh, they're probably gonna read me back, and then RuPaul's gonna try to read me, and I'm gonna have to read her back. It's gonna be very that. A lot of stuff went through my mind, and I even thought about not even going, to be honest. And I'm like, I'm different now. The way I react, the way I act is different. The stuff I tolerate is different. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to like do this without feeling like scared that they're just bringing me there just to make me look like a fool, But yeah, like they say, anytime they call, you answer. So I answer.
I was really excited. You were one of the people when you were announced for All Stars 8. You were one of the people I was like, oh, I was not expecting that at all because I think it was not only you said you weren't doing drag anymore or considered yourself as a drag queen because of your transition, but you had also said some things about RuPaul and critical comments, which was justified. And I think you also said that you felt like on season 5 they kept you around for your breakdown and that, but then they didn't keep you for much longer after that, almost like you felt a little bit used, which is what you said earlier. So I can see why you maybe felt that way going in, like nervous about doing All Stars 8. Was that definitely part of your thought process?
Oh yeah, definitely. And then I'm like, oh, do they just want another trans girl to fill a spot to make sure that they have everybody inclusive? So I was just like, but then I'm like, to be honest, and then that's when the diva side of me came out. I'm like, I'm history. I need to go back. I need to be seen. I don't care how I do about the competition. As long as I walk through them doors to let it be known, I'm the one that started this movement. So let's go. So definitely that was in the back of my mind. And it was my best friend, Marie. She has an organization I work for, the nonprofit for trans women of color. She's the one who was just like, if you don't do this, you really are going, and she knows me for 20 something years, that you're going to regret it. So do it. And I'm like, you know what? Forget it. Like, it's my moment, it's my time. I don't care how I do. I'm just gonna go in there, do my best, and sock it. And plus, I look great, so why not show the world? So
It's
yeah,
true. It's
definitely.
true. True.
Yeah.
So yeah, with
But it
all,
took a lot of convincing though.
well, I was going to ask, was this the only All Stars you were asked for, or were you asked before that?
Oh no, this was the only one.
Okay,
Hmm.
that's super interesting because it's like you said, it was 10 years between season 5 and then All Stars 8. So in terms of then you did obviously go on All Stars 8. So what was that like then going into because you had some, reservations about going in to start with because you felt like maybe they were going to like use you for that moment and everything. What was it like then going on? Did you feel a different way then? Because you said you quit drag sort of and then decided not to and then went on season 8. Did that change your opinion on how you viewed yourself as a drag queen or not?
No, not really. But I was very hands-on how I wanted to look. I'll tell you that much. And that was my biggest thing. I'm like, I don't want to walk in there with like huge headpieces and feathers and all this stuff. That's not who I am. That's not, I would never represent that because that's not the type of drag I do. So for me, that was also be like, that was also a fear in me because I'm like, it's All Stars 8 now. The caliber of drag that people do nowadays, it's so out there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can be like that too, but that's just not my taste. And I don't want to put something out to the world that I'm not. So I went back and forth with it, to be honest. But, I think All Stars 8, and I'm going to say this now, which is the messy season of confusion and just, it didn't make sense, to be honest to me. And I don't care what nobody says. I mean, the winner's the winner. Love Jimbo. Yeah. But the cast didn't make no sense. It didn't make no sense to me. I was just like, why do they have all of us? It didn't make no sense to me. Because I thought, to be honest, when they called me to, I'm like, they're probably going to have an early out season, with all the early out girls. Oh, this is because, you hear all the rumors and stuff like that. So I'm like, it's probably the early out season. This is going to be amazing. I might actually have a shot to go, you know, I went 3 episodes in season 5. And now I'm like, I'm there. So maybe I can go a little further. Yeah, but then I walked in and I seen everybody. This is interesting.
So yes, All Stars 8 was a very interesting season. Like you said, it was very messy. I
Yes.
I kind of maybe this is just me being messy, but I actually really lived for the season because it was so messy. So from a viewer's point of view, I thought, I mean, not from the queens. Obviously, for you, it's different when you're actually there. But from a viewer's point of view, I actually quite lived for the fact that it was like if you just accept that it's a messy, chaotic season and it makes no sense, it actually was like a showcase of talent. Like I loved all the queens. I thought they were all really interesting, very messy, good for drama. Obviously, my thing. But like, so for me, All Stars 8 was actually really enjoyable, and I loved seeing you because we hadn't seen you, and the glow up was like not like completely different person. It was like I was you walked in, I was like, oh my god, she looks amazing. Not that you didn't look amazing
Thank you.
before, but you just looked very like
Yeah.
confident, a confidence that you
Yes,
didn't have on season 5.
definitely.
So when you said it's messy, is there anything you can kind of because we've heard a lot about All Stars 8, especially from people like Naisha, because she's like, very funny and she's always spilling the tea, which is great. Is there anything
Uh-huh.
like what can you sort of tell us a bit about why do you think it was messy?
There was a lot of producers, to be honest, because season 5, yeah, there was a lot of them, but All Stars 8, honey, they're everywhere. And that took me back a little bit. So I'm like, why are you hiding around there? Why are you over there? Why are you over there? It's just too many people in this room. And I think the camera's supposed to be over there, away, just for the girls to have a moment. And then it was just a lot of waiting around and people attitudes and at the time I'm like 30 something years old, like I'm 38 years old. I don't do like it to tell people that are a little bit younger than me to be telling me what to do, you know? And the constant, if you don't do something, not do something, if say you like, oh, I'm over, I don't want to do it. Well, let's remind you, you signed the contract. That bothered me a lot. That's to me, I'm like, I'm not dumb. You're like in a way trying to threaten me. You know what I'm saying? Like if I don't do or say something you want me to say, then all of a sudden it's just like, you signed a contract. And there was one particular person on the producer side that I don't care nothing for. And I hope she sees this. I don't care nothing for her. I think she's rude, she's nasty, and I'm glad that I saw her in the studio and didn't see her out in the street because it would have been a different scenario because she was just so nasty. I was like, I don't understand why is she just so, she just rubbed me the wrong way. I think Naisha probably said her name to you too. Who knows? But yeah, I think a lot of favoritism, I'll tell you that much. A lot of favoritism. And then something happened when they bring us back that dumbfounded me and put a stamp in it that I'm officially over and done with reality TV, reality competitions. I want no part of it because it's a lot of scheming and scamming and a lot of blowing up people's heads, a lot of smoke up their asses when you see it for what it is, and then people are always trying to tell you, oh, it's not this, you're great, you're this, the Hollywood typical stuff.
Can you tell?
But this
So
time it was,
what exactly was it that happened then?
I don't know if I should say it, but they give us a list of sheets of lip sync songs. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, something happened where they tried to change a song. I'm just gonna say that much.
Is this to do
It
with
didn't happen.
Is this to do with the finale?
Boom. You got it. Boom.
So,
you said it. I didn't say it. But yes.
I can say it because, well, I only know because Naisha said it at Roscoe's. So, because Naisha always spills the tea. Naisha always comes up with Naisha is actually really great at Roscoe's. She's really fun. Like she spills all the tea. So good for me because obviously my drama channel. So she said that they were going to change it to Milkshake for the final lip sync, which was Jimbo's favorite song. And Candy was like, no, you're not doing that because you're clearly favoring Jimbo, and like basically said, I'm going to walk off set unless you change it back to the original song. So, and Candy kind of knew from then that Jimbo was clearly going to win and was being favored. So that was, I talked about, Naisha talked about it very publicly at Roscoe's, very messy. But so is that what that was kind of then put a bad taste in your mouth then?
Oh, definitely. I said that, first of all, oof, that's so messy. And to do it the way they did it, it was just too insane. And then right there and then, I remember saying to myself, this is your last time here in the studio. You will not be coming back here. And if you do come back here, I need 6 figures or more. Because you know what? The trauma puts you through, the trauma afterwards, and what you have to deal with, to be honest, sometimes it's not really worth the money or the time because it takes a lot of your time. People think doing Drag Race is easy. It's not. It's not when they tell you to be yourself, and then when you get there, yeah, it's just like, how can I be myself when there's like 20 producers, well, do you know this or do you know that? Do you know this? Do you know this? And I'm like, yo, I haven't done drag like in 3 years. I don't even know half those girls in the room, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that I'm trying to throw shade at nobody, but Drag Race, when I left it there. It hasn't been my life for the last 10 years till now. So, it was a lot of producers asking me questions about people I didn't really know about, or do you have any drama with anybody? No, girl, I don't have drama with nobody. I'm a trans woman trying to survive. You think I have to be arguing with a bunch of drag queens? I don't know. I don't do that. I don't even have like sites where I followed Drag Race at that time. It was just very out of my life, out of sight, out of mind. So yeah, but seeing that, I was just like, it's messy and it's everything that I thought it was. And I was really excited for All Stars 8. I was like, oh, it's going to be fabulous. Oh, it's going to be amazing. And as soon as I walked in there and people are already starting, I'm just like, oh, this is going to go so messy. And then I was so confused because I think, to be honest, they were trying to, I don't know. It was just so weird to me because I still didn't understand. Like, when we do our group run numbers, we film that like twice or 3 times. And we see live. People, the girls in the room, everybody is seeing this. So for me, when they put me and Darian together, I was just like, okay, well, obviously I'm going home. I haven't done drag in 3 years. I'm not really, that popular. lately, as of lately, I'm very old school. Darian, that's her life, that's drag. People love her. So I already, when they had us down there, I already knew. I'm like, yeah, it's a wrap. I look good in my purple. Bye. Oh, but after that, after we got down to two and we all left, I didn't talk to nobody. I threw my shoes. I was pissed. I was cursing out the PAs. I was just upset. I was like, once again, I come here and once again this happens. I save all this money up. I wasted all my money doing it, all my surgery money to have surgery. I don't use it all on here. You know, people sponsored me stuff. It was just so much at one time that I was just like, I should even go on the car direct. I should even go down that thing. I should just pack it up right now and go home. Don't give them nothing they want. But of course, they reminded me I signed a contract. So I had to fill out my duties.
Well, I'm sorry you had that experience. Do you regret doing All Stars 8?
Oh no. Because once again, I came there and I made history again. I went viral. I loved it. I
Well,
loved it.
I was going to ask about that. So, well, first, one thing I just wanted to pick up on first, because you were talking about maybe like the messiness and there was some producer interference. So I remember that when All Stars 8 was running, obviously Naisha's at Roscoe's and she spills a lot of tea and everything. It's all very interesting. She mentioned a moment with you and her when you were sitting on the sofa, and it was on the episode that you went home. And she said that the producers came over and were like telling you and Naisha, or particularly you, that like you had to talk more, like just say anything. And Naisha was like, obviously, like Monica's like crying. She's really upset. Like, why? And it's obvious that you're saying you need to talk because we need footage of you because you're going home, kind of thing. Did you feel that?
Oh yes, and that's why because literally what happened on the thing at main stage and they rush you right back to the rest of the girls. So I'm in this cart as it's going along, and I'm just like, when they say you're at a moment and everything around you, it's just like, what is happening right now? And as soon as I walked through that door, I was just like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know why am I up next to this woman. I don't even know what's happening. So as soon as I started crying, sure enough, it was just like, say what you have to say, give her a moment. If they didn't want to give me no moment, my lashes are coming off, my earrings are like falling off. It's no, they just trying to soak it up, all that. And I'm literally telling them that I need a moment. Like, off. I need a moment. Like, I'm gonna have a fit. I need a moment. And they still kept rolling, it kept rolling, kept rolling. And that's why I was happy that Nature came over there and kind of got in front of me because, I was like, you are just soaking this up and I get it to show, but damn, give me 5 minutes. Let me go cry in the corner for like 4 seconds and I'll be fine. But no.
Yeah, no, and it's unfortunate. I think it's good that when I think we've known about that from Drag Race. Every reality TV show is the same, but it's obviously not nice for the contestants. I can see why you would be annoyed at that. One thing also, Naisha, again, because she was on the season, so she spoke a lot. She meant, but not just her, there was someone else that mentioned it as well. Someone said, I think it might have even been Candy, said that on the episode where everyone came back, so I guess it was the Fame Game episode, which we'll talk about a bit more. You had your moment, but we'll talk about that in a minute. On that episode, apparently, everyone was sitting on the sofa and there was like a lot of confrontations between the queens, and it was like a big drama moment, but they cut it all out in the episode.
Oh, that was so good.
What happened? Like, can you tell us a bit about what happened?
Oh my God. It was Candy. I think it's Candy and Alexis had got into it. And yeah, there was a lot of and this and that, and I don't fuck with you, and whoopty whoopty woo. And then Alexis is pointing at Candy. Just going out here. Everybody's bickering against each other. It was just wild. And we really thought that I was going to be on it because it was so good. And it was about basically something happened when we were gone amongst the girls. I think it was amongst top 4 or something what was going on between them. And I guess this girl felt like she was being set up or something like that. But, she was a stunt queen of the season. So Miss Alexis herself.
Alexis was great TV. She was such a stunt queen, so entertaining. Like, she knows how to
I said she needs her own reality show.
She's
because
incredible.
She loves to, she loves to entertain. And I can tell you what, the bitch can dress. Because her fashions, what she wore on the show, nasty, just fabulous. So I'm like, girl, the last episode I told her, I said, you look like Vita Boheme from Tu Wong Fu in that dress. You look absolutely beautiful. So yeah.
No, Alexis is such good TV, like really funny, amazing queen. Were you involved in any of the arguments, or were you just kind of like having your popcorn, just watching?
Oh, wait, it all came back to me. We were talking about why we eliminated each other. And I felt really bad because I started attacking James Mansfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
To be honest, I was in the moment, so I got angry. I'm just like, would you go over there for 2 seconds? Like, I'm trying to get ready to go on stage, and you're like haunting me for a picture. Like, what are you doing with his shirt off? So already this is kind of like throwing me off. And my best friend, the photographer, Nestor, he's there with me, and because he's filming all of this stuff, and he's like, something ain't right with him. Yes, I've been holding on to this for a year. For a year. And what he says in these messages are so disgusting.